Welcome to the At Heart YouTube channel where we share tactical advice to help you grow your small business and an entrepreneur. I am Brighton Udy, and today we're going to be talking about what makes a great logo for small businesses. A logo. It is the face of your business. It's what a lot of people relate branding to, is your logo, your design, your colors, your typography. That is what people think of when they think of branding. But obviously, if you've been watching any of our videos on this YouTube channel, you know that it's a lot more than that. But I thought, because it really is such an important part of branding, that we should talk about what makes a great logo. Now, before we dig into the mechanics of what makes a great logo and the design of everything, I want to take a step back and make sure that we talk about the essence of the brand and the strategy of the brand first. A lot of small businesses make the mistake of building a logo, creating a logo, paying a designer to build a logo for them before they even have a clear understanding of what the strategy of their brand is. And they waste hundreds, or if not thousands of dollars on a design before they even really take a look at who they are as a brand, who they are as a business, and the reputation that they want to build and the relationship that they want to build with their customers. So we have a strategy that we use called the Brand Clarity Framework that we use in order to help our clients create a clear vision and a clear strategy for their brand so that when they start making decisions, they actually make consistent decisions that help them build a desired reputation for their brand. And those decisions also include the design of their logo. If you are looking to design a logo, I would highly recommend, before spending thousands of dollars on that logo, to take a second and work through your brand clarity framework. Now, if you're looking for a way to do that, we have an online course called the Brand Clarity Masterclass online course. It's a guided video course with over 2+ hours of guided video content, a comprehensive workbook to help you work through each exercise, and you will walk away with clarity around what your brand is really trying to achieve. You'll understand your brand's why, your perfect customer, your brand's superpower, personality, the story that your brand is going to be telling on a consistent basis. And once you have that all figured out, then you will have clarity and confidence in the decisions that you make for your brand, including the design of your logo. So, if that's something that you're interested in, I'm going to put the link in the description below, and you can actually walk through and find clarity and confidence in your brand strategy yourself by going through the Brand Clarity Masterclass online course. And honestly, it is a fraction of the cost of what we do one-on-one private workshops with our clients. It's honestly about like a 95% discount based on that number. So if that's something that you're interested in, link is in the description. Check that out before you spend money on designing a logo. So once you have your brand spirit, you have an understanding of who your perfect customer is, what the personality is for your brand, and then the story that you're going to be telling, that is when you can start developing your logo. Once you have that figured out, you really want to make sure that your logo reflects the spirit of your brand and reflects the personality of your brand. That in line, those two things in line, you're going to be unstoppable because you are going to be reflecting the authentic version of who your brand and your business and your company is. And when you do that, you build true relationships and trust with your perfect customer. And that's really what we're trying to do at the end of the day with branding is build that trust, build that desired reputation so that your customers do business with you instead of your competitor down the street. Let's actually dig into some of the more tactical and the mechanics of what makes a great logo. Okay, so let's start here. The first thing is that you should have 3 versions of your logo. The first is what we call the Wordmark. That is the version of your logo that is written out, it's readable, and it is your company name. So when somebody reads it, they know your company name, but they also now know your brand's logo. So that's the written version. It should be really clear, it should be really easy to read, and it should have a font or typography that is customized and unique to you. This is where you get to bring in the unique and the creativity into your design. So think of that. That's the first version. You want to have a word mark. And I'm going to show you an example right here. So this first example is Skype. So obviously we have their word mark. It's very playful. Even when you open up and experience Skype's video conferencing app, it has the sounds and the look and the animations based on this logo. It's very bubbly. There's a lot of lightness and airiness within the brand. So the word mark exemplifies that. Google is the same way. They've practically had the same logo since day one, which is incredibly impressive. And as you can see, that version of their logo, very easy to read. It's what you see when you land on the Google search page. That is an incredible and probably one of the most highly recognizable word marks out there. So that's the first version of the logo that you should have. The second one is the icon. So this is the scaled down version of your logo, the small, bite-sized little icon. So with Apple, it would be their apple with the little bite taken out of it. That is a great version of an icon. Sticking with our same examples with Skype and Google, this is their version, this is Skype's version of their icon. The S is built in there, but it keeps a very resembled shape to the word mark. The colors are exactly identical, and you can tell that this is Skype's icon. You know it, you see it. It's what's going to be at the bottom bar, the toolbar of your Mac. It's going to be the icon on your desktop on Windows. So when you click on that icon, it's going to open the app for you. With Google, they've gone through a few different versions of their icon, and they've got icons for all of their different products and business units. But this specific one for Google, you can tell it is Google. It has all 4 colors that they use within their logo, and it is a G that immediately you know it's going to be Google. They've built an incredible brand. This icon is going to be used in scenarios where your logo has to be scaled down to a very small ratio. And I'm going to talk about scalability here in a minute. But an example, and probably the most frequent example from small businesses' point of view, is that this little icon is going to be the favicon in the tab that you see in a browser. So a favicon is that little tiny icon that when you're in Google Chrome or you're in Safari and you have a web page opened within a tab, that is going to show you that you are on a certain website, and it gives you another opportunity to brand your website and brand the experience for your visitor to your website. So that's going to be in the little tab in your window. Is just an example of where the icon will live within your branding. And the final version of your logo that you should have figured out is what we call the lockup. Now, a lockup is oftentimes a version of your 2 logos that are put together. So your icon and your word mark. And we call it a lockup because we're locking those 2 versions of the logo together. A great example that I'm going to show you here in a second is Chanel. Chanel has their 2 backwards C's that they use as their icon. But when you scale the logo all the way up to their lockup, they have both the word mark and the icon built in there. Heineken does the same thing. If we think about Heineken's logo, their star, their red star is really their icon. It's what I believe they're really known for. But when you scale that logo all the way up to the icon or to the lockup, you're going to see that they have the star, they have the word mark. Heineken even has a little bit of a coat of arms almost, a banner that they have within their lockup. So they have a different version for their lockup than they do for their word mark and they do for their icon. So those are the 3 versions of the logo that you should have. You should have your word mark, you should have your icon, and you should have your lockup for your logos. So the next thing to think about when you're designing your logo, and I've already alluded to this a little bit, is scalability. You want to make sure that no matter what size, what scale, your logo is recognizable and easy to identify. So there's a great example in a web page that I would actually recommend you visit. This image that I'm going to show you is actually pulled from there. It's called responsivelogos.co.uk. It's a great little website that kind of shows you the example of how to scale logos and based within sizes. So this is something you need to think about. How is your logo going to look when it's on a massive banner? How are you going to present that? That's the first thing to think about. The next thing is when you're scaling it all the way back down to a tiny little favicon in a browser tab, what is it going to look like? How are you going to make sure that those two scales actually work together? So here's an example. This image here is an example of some of the most recognizable brands in the world and how they ensure that they can scale their logos from super large ratios to teeny tiny ratios. So if we look at Coca-Cola, they don't really have an icon, really. They don't have an icon logo. But what they do is they scale from Coca-Cola, and they have Coke underneath, and they scale all the way down to just Coke. Yet they use the same typography, the same script, the same type of logo style, and the same colors. Obviously, it's always white and it's always red. I mean, sometimes Coke Zero is black and Diet Coke is silver, whatever. But they're always using the same script. They're always using the same logo. If we look at Walt Disney, for example, all of their intro screens and the animation that they have before a Disney movie with the star kind of flying over the castle, or maybe that's Tinkerbell, I can't remember. That is kind of the biggest version of their logo that they use. But then as they scroll all the way down and they scale all the way down, they just have the little script D for Disney. Now, this is really what they use everywhere, even within Disney Plus, right? They have the D and they have the plus, and they kind of build that all in. They scale from the super large version on the title screens all the way down to that tiny little icon version of the D. We've already talked about Heineken. We've talked about the Lockup at the very top with the star and the Wordmark and the coat of arms almost. And then we scale it all the way down just to that little red star that is still recognizable on their green background. So think about how your logo is going to scale. If you're working with a designer, you need to make sure that they take that into account. How is your brand, how is your logo going to expand and contract based on the usage of your logo? Now, this is something that we at Heart, our designers, actually ensure and build into our process. Regardless of the industry, regardless of the business that you are in, we make sure that your logo is scalable and works in all different usage cases. So that is something that you should really consider. If you're interested in learning more about our design package and our branding packages, head over to atheart.co to learn more, and you can set up a free brand strategy call with myself, and we can actually walk you through what we believe is the best course of action and best strategy for your business. So check us out at atheart.co and set up your free brand strategy call today. Now, there are a few additional things that I want you to consider when designing your logo. The first is that you want to make sure that it looks great in black and white. If your logo has way too many colors in it and it isn't recognizable if it's in a black and white state, then it's probably not a super great logo. You want to make sure that if your logo is on a website and a potential partner of yours adds their logo to their website, or you donate to a big charity. As an example, we were actually doing this for a client recently where we're working with this nonprofit here in Calgary where I'm based, and we have a list of logos on their website of some of their top donors. And we grayscaled all of those logos to make it look really great on the website. Now, all of those logos, what's awesome is that they all look incredible in the grayscale that we used. But sometimes there are logos that are created and designed that don't look great in black or white or gray. So make sure that yours does. It should be simple, it shouldn't be overly complicated, and it shouldn't have too many colors, which is the second thing I want you to think about. Don't have too many colors in your logo. It is one of the biggest mistakes that I see small businesses make is they go way too fancy and way too broad in their color choices. Select a few. This is another part of the brand aesthetic design packages that we have built in. We make sure that you select, and we select a select few colors. I don't think we actually go more than 4 is like the absolute max that we ever use. Oftentimes it's 1 or 2, so keep that in mind. The last thing I want you to consider is what is the negative space showing within your logo? The best example of this is FedEx. If you look at FedEx's logo, between the E and the X of the FedEx logo, you actually see an arrow. that is built by design. It's showing that FedEx is moving forward. It's always in movement. So think of that. It can be a really great exercise in creating a unique and enticing logo if you think in the negative space. So those are a couple more things to think about. But if you have found that this video has been really helpful for you and kind of clarified what makes a great logo for a small business brand, hit the like button and also subscribe for all of our updates and new videos so that when they come out, you see them right away. Again, I want to thank you for tuning in to this episode of the At Heart Co YouTube channel, and I will see you next week with more tactical tips to help you grow as an entrepreneur and help you grow your small business.